but that doesn't motivate me anymore. Some of you hate right-wing Christians. Some of you hate left-wing Christians. Some of you hate, what's the guy's name who talks like that? Elmo Fudd. Some of you hate right-wing politicians. Some of you hate left-wing politicians. And you think that argumentatively you can win an argument, but the bottom line is, at what cost? At what cost? What does it cost you to be right? Look, God is a God of peace, of mercy, of grace. The whole church as a whole hadn't gotten that yet. They still want to fight everything. Let's fight this, let's fight that, let's do this, let's do that. And the bottom line is they've been fighting stuff for 5,000 years, you know? But what have we ever won with strife and debate? See, as you mature in God, strife and debate does not motivate you anymore. My mom was the coolest cat who ever lived. I mean, she was cool in everything within her life. She was so mature in the spirit that she had to put things on the shelf that she knew was wrong. She knew was wrong. And she just had to lay it aside and lay it aside and lay it aside. When I went to her bed, when they told her she had like 5-6 months to live, and she lived 5 days, and I was sitting at her bedside, and she looked up at me and she said, "Bubba, I'm coming to the end of my journey. And I have fought a good fight." And she never fought anybody. She never would get into an argument. She'd preach something. She felt the spirit of repulsion was coming against her. And she said, "Well, if you don't believe it, I don't want to fall out with you over it." Because it wasn't worth being right to her, to hurt the heart of anything. She said, "Well, I fought a good fight. I have kept the faith. And I am finishing my course." But Joshua, just a few years before, the Word of God said, "My servant Moses is dead." And he told Joshua, "Be of good courage. Go do what you're called to do." And Joshua was a great man of faith. He fought the battle of Jericho, a man of valor, a man of strength. If you read the story of Joshua, he was one of the greatest men who ever lived. When all the 10 spies came back and said, "We don't want to go," Joshua and Caleb said, "We are more than able." Not being morbid, but my greatest commitment to God and mankind, and your greatest commitment to God and mankind, will not stop you from passing over to the other side. I can have great fidelity to God, and I can serve human beings with a passion. As Joshua did. But before he was going to go home, he said, "I want to remind you that God made promises to us when we came out of bondage, and he kept every one of them." I want to, the Bible said he took his elders and he took his leaders and he took them aside. He said, "I want to remind you where God brought you from. I'm going to remind all of you where God brought you from and where you could have been, where you might have been if God one day hadn't reached into your life and snagged you and snared you with His love and His power. Because the truth is, I walked through this life and there are many dangers, there are many toils, there are many things that snare us. I know all you are more powerful than any snares. But I've had to have God break a few of my bondages. I've had to have the power of God take a few things out of my life that I couldn't get rid of. I had to have God because I wasn't strong enough. I pled my case. I tried to word of faith it out. I tried to pray it out. I tried to beg and plead God, Lord, get this thing out of my life. I don't want it there anymore. And every morning I'd wake up and it was still there. How many can relate? It was still there. Then one day I didn't do anything. I didn't pray. I didn't beg. I didn't plead. I woke up one day and it was gone. It was gone. I couldn't take credit for it. I couldn't say I prayed it out, fasted it out, read the Word of God out, prophesied it out, begged it out, pleaded it out. Here's a God who truly is more willing to give than we are to receive. More willing to pour out. What story of grace, what story of grace that the man whose son was killed in the wreck went to the parole board and said, let him go. I pastored a church when I first started. 30 years ago, I'll tell you how small the world it is. About 40 years ago, in San Antonio, Texas, Brother H.B. Taylor of the Taylor Tabernacle, the father of most of the Pentecostal evangelism here in this part of the country. He had I think a son and a daughter-in-law. And this man went into their home and he shot them dead. His kids. And he battled with that, and he battled with that, and he battled with that. Finally, like he said, just like he said, I can't let this kill me anymore. And he went to that prison and he told that man, I just want you to know that I forgive you for what you did to the kids. And he was free from it. And that man became the greatest minister of joy that ever was in this area. When I first started preaching, I pastored the Taylor Tabernacle right after I was in Gonzales. He was 94 years old. For 3 years he sat in that church and up until the end he was raising his hands and glorifying him. But my wife, before we got married, she had a boyfriend. This boyfriend's stepfather was the man who killed those kids. About 15 years ago, over here on Rivercrest, we really is work. I'm getting real pride on me. He was forgiven. You can be so forgiven from God, you can holds so much